So what we are at our core is a divine intelligence. And that divine intelligence is really our level of love and wisdom, whose subsets are our talents and abilities. Now, that is what all of us actually are. And by the way, it's complete variance. No two souls have the same amount or quality of this sentience or this divine intelligence. Now, that is the God within us all. We are a drop, a cell, an atom, however you want to say, of God. We have the exact same attributes of God. Forget about looking like this. This is the humanistic misinterpretation that God is some dude wearing a robe with white hair. Okay, we don't look like that either. This is a suit. We have no name, no image, and no form, and we're wearing a biological garment to explore the lower frequencies of the physical universe, just like you would put on a spacesuit. This is a biological spacesuit for our consciousness to explore this realm. Make no mistake about that. Okay, so what we are is the I am, which is God itself. That is our love and wisdom, and it's our talents and abilities. Now, that divine intelligence, that sentience, that I am, is given energy, including this is a body of energy, is given energy to create with, just like God, right? So this energy that we use our energy to think, to emote, to animate our body, and then therefore to have the body have experiences. It takes energy even to incarnate. Now, that is what it means to be made in God's image. Sentience, given energy to endlessly create. And we do the same thing. We endlessly create. The issue arises, from my perspective, the issue arises when we incarnate into the lower frequencies of the physical universe, because we are so disconnected from our natural environment, from where we come from, the holistic nature, the oneness of everything. We come all the way down here with total amnesia because of the complete disconnection. Now, the issue becomes that we start identifying ourselves with what we create. Mm. So what that means is we lose ourselves in the incarnation. We start thinking that this is what we are. No, we're inside this. We created an incarnation, and this is the suit that we wear. So we start identifying with the body. We see ourselves as a physical being. Now, as soon as we identify with the body, Ashley, we're going to identify with what the body produces: thoughts, emotions, actions, behaviors, physical sensations, traumatic experiences. Now, as we start to identify with this and then all those other things, by the way, none of which is what we are.
Right.
So this is the creation of the false human character, what I call the ego mind identity. Now, that is subject to all societal conditioning, brainwashing, everything that goes on, beliefs, ideologies, concepts, roles. So we're this perfect, whole, complete divine being that has completely and utterly misidentified itself with a physical vehicle and then all these other things that are floating around here. Our disharmony, our dis-ease, our suffering, all comes from the misidentification with all of those things. So healing, as well as self-realization, for me, is the returning to what we really are. The I am, the sentience, the pure awareness. And just as the painter is not the painting, we are not what we create. It is our misidentifications with what we create is what takes us astray. It leads us further and further from our true self, from what we really are. And as we get further and further away from what we really are, we are misprogramming our mind with all these things. And then the body has to have the tangible experience of that. All disharmony comes from disharmonious thought patterns. Now, we can only think in terms of what we've identified ourselves with: a belief, a thought, an experience, an ideology, a role. Now, once we detach from these things and remain as what we truly are, thinking actually just stops. And now we have meditation. Now the true self is online. Now, once the true self is online, healing starts to take place. And the longer that we can normalize the state of being present, the closer and closer we get to self-realization or enlightenment. Self-realization or enlightenment is simply the normalization of what you truly are. And then you have full communion with your higher self, as we are an aspect of our higher self. And that's what enlightenment actually is. But the story that we're telling ourselves, the spell that we are putting over ourselves, that we then put over others, that is what we must become acutely aware of that, and we must cease with doing that. And once we cease with doing that, we'll start to feel like ourselves, and then we'll realize that what we actually are is capable of anything, including putting a completely destroyed body back together or having authentic self-realization or enlightenment.